Good evening and welcome to Wales at 6. An ITV Wales investigation has been told as many as 16 girls under the age of consent have been selling sex on the streets of Cardiff. It comes as Gwent Police considers a designated area for prostitutes to work in Newport. Our Health and Social Affairs correspondent has been looking at the wider sex industry in this special report.
Cardiff, home to Welsh business, culture and politics. But hidden away at night, another industry is at work. In the last hour of daylight, a van started its drive around the capital. Inside are volunteers from Safer Wales. They're looking out for sex workers and they're offering help.
We will stop at a place where it's safe, then we will open the back and we will offer the service to the women. So we'll give them a hot drink, we'll give them some leaflets and some information, we'll give them condoms and some snacks as well.
The project knows of 350 women working the streets in Cardiff. They come from all over South Wales, but worryingly, they've also identified children doing the same.
In the last 4 years, we've identified 16 girls under the age of 16 who are at risk of sexual exploitation or being sexually exploited into prostitution. That's in Cardiff alone. No matter what, this is completely black and white. We would call 999 straight away and report that.
But it's mostly vulnerable women on our streets, and they face real risks. There were 76 violent incidents involving Cardiff sex workers last year.
The Ugly Mug newsletter here is really, really important bit of information because in there it describes some of the punters who can be potentially dangerous. So they will have descriptions of their car registration numbers, so the girls can really. It's about reducing harm.
Do they welcome you when they see a van like this offering help and advice?
They do, because I don't think there are many other people out there who show them much fondness or care about them the same as we do. And when I've built up a bond with these girls and I care what happens to them and where they are, and you know I want to know that they're safe. That's a really important thing to me.
As the night went on, it quickly became clear why the support is needed. A young woman waved us down. She needed urgent help. We've disguised her voice.
So you felt threatened and intimidated by this man then?
Yeah, I did really feel threatened and intimidated because you don't know what he's capable of. I've never met this guy. Do you know what I mean? I don't know what he's potentially going to do to me.
Later she agreed to speak to me. She's a teenage mother who got involved in this after a violent relationship.
You have people driving past and like, hi, you're a prostitute, hi, you're this, you're that. It's not. At the end of the day, people don't know why we're doing this. Like, I had the perfect little life, 2 kids, everything was going great for me, and it's only because of domestic violence I ended up in a situation like this. I don't want to go out and have to do what I got to do, but sometimes you got to do it, and it is really dangerous.
So how should society deal with sex workers? Legalisation and tolerance zones are suggested solutions, but remain controversial. So while the debate continues, women, and sometimes children, will still hit the streets, as most of us look the other way. Rob Osborne, ITV News.
One of the areas that's been most criticised in the Welsh NHS is the ambulance service. It's missing targets, and some of the worst figures recently since 2011 have been for those life-threatening calls. Well, our Health and Social Affairs correspondent Rob Osborne has been out on the road with one paramedic of 30 years to find out just what it's like coping with the daily pressure of trying to save lives.
Kelvin doesn't know what will happen today. He never knows. As a paramedic, he can attend any 999 call in any part of South Wales, even beyond. The day starts at 8 in the morning. He's due to finish at 5, but that rarely happens. Before he's on the road, he makes sure he has all the equipment he'll need and explains to us a little about his vehicle.
I can go to any call, no matter what it is, and get there hopefully within 8 minutes. And deal with any life-threatening call that may be there. And that was the reasoning why the RRVs were put in place.
Once all the checks have been made, he presses a button to alert the control room that he's ready to respond. And within seconds, we're off. The first call is just a few miles away. All Kelvin knows is that someone has dialed 999, saying a relative has woken up confused and with slurred speech. It sounds like a suspected stroke.
Have you been on antibiotics?
Yeah.
When we get to the house, we find 86-year-old Aidan Davis, a former international football referee. And Kelvin does his tests.
Why do you think you felt ill this morning?
Well, I can't do anything for myself.
He's called for a larger ambulance to come and take Aidan to hospital. Kelvin doesn't believe he's had a stroke, but Aidan is probably an undiagnosed type 2 diabetic.
Do you get quite a few calls like this?
Yeah, mainly with the elderly because of, like I said, I mean, especially if they've been unwell, like Aidan has here. He's been unwell for a while, so his immune system is going to be really, really low. His resistance is going to be really, really low, and any sort of things could affect him. And with the elderly, yeah, it's quite a common problem, really.
The other ambulance arrives around 50 minutes later and takes Aidan away. He won't be going to accident and emergency, but a local hospital. And with one ambulance in use, it means one unable to respond. As for Kelvin, it's off to the next emergency.
Hit all the lights.
999 road activated.
En route, I asked him about the negative media attention the Welsh Ambulance Service is getting and how it affects him.
It affects us a lot. I mean, none of us like bad press and most of the guys and myself included, we think that it's far too much of the negative side of the service and nothing really good about all the good stuff that we do. I mean, most of our day is all good. I mean, we get there, we do our job to the best of our ability and to the best of our clinical skills, and yet everything is all about times, hospitals, and everything else.
Ambulances have to respond to the most urgent calls within 8 minutes. But it isn't just patients and families who call paramedics. GPs do as well. A doctor in Barry has called for an ambulance because a patient was feeling pain from kidney stones.
Bit of a pain came at the front, which was like a 4. Then after about 5 minutes, it went to another gear.
Kelvin again assesses the patient. The pain has subsided, so there isn't much he can do. But backup is called for, and the patient goes to hospital.
Have a seat on there for us.
Kelvin gets a 30-minute break in the day. Away from that, the calls are relentless. And on his last one with us, I asked him why he did it.
I just loved being with people. I love talking to people. I love helping people. Especially the ones who are vulnerable to come away and feel that you've actually done something very positive for them and help their lives to be much better. I know it's a cliche. I know it sounds very but it's true. I mean that's the bottom line. I just love going out and helping people.
Dedication to the job, that's it.
Yeah, well, stupidity or whatever I call it. But if you want to call it, I'll go with dedication. I don't mind that one.
And with that, he was on to the next 999 emergency. Rob Osborne, ITV News.
The Prime Minister has announced that the UK will take more refugees from Syria. But what happens when the successful ones arrive here in Wales? Well, a special investigation by this programme on Refugee Week has uncovered tales of physical attacks, but also strong support for those who've escaped their homes with little more than their lives. Rob Osborne reports.
Hi, I'm Akko. I'm a welder.
My name is Majd. I'm a computer engineer.
My name is Adnan Sukkar. I'm a doctor in psychology. And we are asylum seekers in Wales.
How do those two words, asylum seeker, make you feel?
Wait a second.
A bit of yoga is helping them to unwind. It's been rare for them to relax. They've travelled from the world's danger points, Syria and Kurdish Iran, fleeing war and persecution. Cardiff is now home, and they've taken risks to get here.
How did you get to Cardiff physically? How did you get?
By lorry. If I can stay in Cardiff, in Wales, I can make everything for myself. and I can make a future, a good future.
They've had to abandon homes, careers and family. They say they had no choice. In Cardiff, they're given a simple room to live in and £35 a week to live off. It's all Adnan has, and it's where he thinks of his Syrian wife and baby.
I thinking about my family every second, but I need to be strong to still life in life and to protect myself.
His government wanted him to fight in the war, but he refused. All he wanted to do was do his job, helping autistic children.
This is my diploma.
And among the small possessions he brought to the UK were his certificates as a doctor. He hopes to put them to use in Wales.
I'm ready to put my experiences, my education, my trainings, all skills I have. I'm ready to put here in Wales.
But opinion polls find many of us would like to see Adnan and others like him sent home. Charities who work with them say refugees are likely to experience hate in Wales.
I've spoken to a woman who tells me about some horrendous experiences where she had her headscarf pulled, where she had bananas thrown at her, where she had stones thrown at her door, at her window. And these sorts of things are not the welcoming Wales that we want people to feel.
They've all come from the Middle East in the last few weeks. But of course that isn't a universal feeling. While we were filming in the park, some Welsh workers came over to introduce themselves to the men.
Hello, nice to meet you.
And inevitably the conversation headed the same way any other does when someone from another country speaks to a Welsh person.
Can I ask you about Welsh language? I heard about it. If I need to say how are you in Welsh, yeah.
Shemai?
Yeah, just it.
Yeah, Shemai.
Yeah.
Shemai.
Very good. Shemai. Shemai or Chimai? Chemai.
They want to fit in. They want to stay here. But they may be forced to leave. A decision could come in months, maybe years. Life is in limbo. But they say it doesn't matter. For them, Wales is a country of peace and of safety. Rob Osborne, ITV News.